from the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
What's next for the U.S. Supreme Court in the wake of the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Justice Ginsburg died today at age 87 after a battle with pancreatic cancer. First, we focus on her life and legacy. ABC's Karen Travers reports.
She was just the second woman to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court, but Ruth Bader Ginsburg's true legacy may be as the legal architect of the equal rights movement. She graduated at the top of her class at Columbia Law School. Her career began in the 1950s when sexual and racial discrimination was a fact of life.
Not a law firm in the entire city of New York bid for my employment as a lawyer.
Eventually, she was hired by the American Civil Liberties Union. There, she would help lead a movement that changed the nation, challenging laws that treated men and women differently in employment, housing, and government benefits. She was appointed to the High Court by President Clinton in 1993.
In her pioneering work in behalf of the women of this country, she has compiled a truly historic record of achievement.
As a Supreme Court justice, she was best known for the far-reaching decision that struck down the Virginia Military Institute's men-only admission policy.
Those doors that were shut tight against us are now open. So, long-term, I remain optimistic.
Justice Ginsburg was known as a judicial workhorse. She worked throughout her treatment for cancer in 1999 and again 10 years later. In January 2019, her recovery from surgery to remove cancerous lesions from her lung forced her to miss oral arguments, but she continued working from home. Ginsburg became something of a pop culture icon late in her life. This comedic but still reverent impression of her on Saturday Night Live.
I'm never gonna step down now. You can't get rid of me.
A documentary titled RBG, after a nickname given to her by fans, and the 2018 film On the Basis of Sex, focusing on her push for equal rights. On social issues like civil rights, abortion, and separation of church and state, she was a consistent liberal, yet she won the admiration of many conservatives for her grasp of the law and carefully considered opinions. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb is directing flags across the state to be blown at half-staff in honor of Justice Ginsburg.
Happening now in the nation's capital, a candlelight vigil on the steps of the Supreme Court. Scripps reporter Joe St. George is there and reports while many Americans mourn the loss, some politicians are already looking ahead.
Powerful and emotional scene on the steps of the United States Supreme Court tonight as the nation begins to remember the life of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Thousands of people descending upon the Supreme Court tonight upon hearing the news. Candles burning in her memory, hugs and tears shed by those here. Of course, as people here look back, they are also starting to look forward. The big question mark is what happens now. For the moment, the Supreme Court has 8 justices on it, heading into an election where a case could end up here. Now, Republican Senate Leader Mitch McConnell has said tonight that he will move forward with President Trump's selection to replace Justice Ginsburg on the High Court. What's unclear as we stand here on the front steps of the Supreme Court tonight is whether or not Senator McConnell has the votes to get someone on the High Court before the election. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
And now to some other headlines tonight. An Indianapolis family is in shock and mourning after friends say a double shooting left a woman dead and her husband wounded, all in front of their young child.
She was the type of person that I don't think she ever had an enemy in her life or hurt a fly.
Police say 40-year-old Wilma Hostetler was shot and killed near West 30th Street and High School Road in the overnight hours Thursday morning. Longtime friend Andrew Utzi says Wilma was picking up her husband and business partner with their 6-year-old in the car when 2 men approached the couple.
At that point, they robbed them of both their billfolds and Wilma's phone and were walking away. And Jonathan's thought they were safe. You know, they made it through, and then they turned around and came back, and they shot Wilma first and then Jonathan.
Jonathan Hostettler survived his injuries and is recovering at the hospital. UT says that the Hostetlers don't have insurance. Friends are working to raise money to pay for Jonathan's medical bills.
Some educators say they are being forced to choose between their health and their paycheck. At least 6 teachers across the country have died of the coronavirus since the school year began. A Lawrence Township school employee says she resigned because the district would not make accommodations over her COVID-19 health concerns.
There should be some grace. This is a whole different situation that none of us have ever been in before with the pandemic.
Camille Freeman Walker was one of the first staff members within the Lawrence Township School District to test positive for the virus back in March, immediately after school shut down. Already having been exposed, plus being the primary caregiver for her father with stage 4 cancer, she requested to work from home. Her kids are e-learning at home, but she was denied. Freeman Walker says the district told her the only way she could keep her job was if she worked in person, and no other telework was available at this time.
I want to work. I do. I want to work. I need to work to be able to provide for my 4 children and my husband and my household. Like we need this. We are now without health insurance in the worst possible case.
A district spokesperson tells WRTV, quote, "While we cannot speak to individual personnel matters, the Human Resources Department is pleased to have been able to accommodate those who have reached out to their supervisors about individual circumstances impacting their professional responsibilities. Accommodations may vary and may include medical leave or possible alternative assignment. Given the scope of positions within the district, not all are eligible for remote work."
An Indianapolis business owner is weighing in on a proposal to repeal Marion County's mask mandate. We told you last night at 11, City County Councilor Joshua Bain submitted this proposal saying the mandate is hurting businesses. Felicia Kiesel, who owns Boomerang Boutique on Mass Ave, tells WRTV she has been struggling a bit amid the pandemic, but she does not think masks are to blame. Kiesel thinks that other factors are keeping people from coming to her store, things like regular customers trying to save their money or individuals just staying home to feel safer. Kiesel says she worries about being able to enforce her own mask rules if the mandate were repealed.
We're doing it for other people, and I hope that that will continue because COVID's still out there. Nothing has changed with that.
The resolution to repeal Marion County's mask mandate is not likely to pass. Democrats outnumber Republicans 20-5 on the council.
Tonight, there's hope at IU Bloomington that measures being taken to stop the spread of COVID-19 are working. One of the biggest indicators is a decreasing positivity rate at Greek houses, down about 10%. WRTV's Cornelius Hawker talked to a student who just moved out of her sorority house.
Riley Sample is a sophomore at IU.
It's starting to get to the point where people are taking it more seriously, which is good.
This second year of college for Riley has been eventful, to say the least.
Like, you don't see the big groups of people walking everywhere now, and it's just it's kind of sad just because it doesn't feel like campus felt last year.
We first met Riley when she was in the process of moving out of her sorority house because COVID-19 was spreading fast in the Greek houses. Her dad, an ER doctor, prepared her for that.
I expected this. I gave it 2 weeks when she left, and I think she thought I was joking. I was not.
2 weeks later, Riley is in an apartment. But unfortunately, she's waiting on COVID-19 test results to come back because someone she was in close contact with tested positive.
I have my own room instead of sharing it with a roommate. And I have my own bathroom as well, so I don't have to risk exposing any of them.
Riley hopes her fellow students and campus community as a whole continue to take this pandemic seriously, adjusting as necessary during this ever-changing time.
It's something that, unfortunately, we're probably going to have to deal with the rest of the semester, maybe next semester.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
And here's a look at the breakdown of the positivity rates on IU Bloomington's campus. Greek houses are the most significant decrease, down to 15.4% from 25.3% the previous week. That's followed by Greek students who do not live in houses, then students who live in the dorms. The positivity rate among commuters, people who live off campus, is the lowest at 2.9%.
The Centers for Disease Control is now reversing course, saying that asymptomatic people exposed to those with COVID-19 need to get tested. And ABC's Lorene Shaw reports the timeline over a possible vaccine is still in dispute tonight.
As Americans in multiple states begin early in-person voting today, the president still touting a vaccine will be out before Election Day.
We essentially have it. We'll be announcing it fairly soon.
President Trump said most Americans will not get a vaccine until April. A majority of experts, including Dr. Fauci and the CDC director, saying a vaccine will not be widely available until months later. ABC's John Carl pressing him on appearing to push up the timeline.
How is it that you don't trust your own experts? Do you think you know better than they do?
No, I think I have. Yeah, in many cases I do.
According to the New York Times, the White House influenced the CDC to alter statements about the virus, keeping them on track with the president's statements. Weeks ago, the CDC quietly put up guidance stating if a person has been in contact with someone with the virus, they do not necessarily need to get tested if they're asymptomatic. That statement contradicting the CDC's own scientists. The department on Friday reversing course, saying a test is necessary if someone has been exposed. Meanwhile, the outbreak still surging in some places. The Times reporting 2 Las Vegas casinos, the Wynn Resorts and Las Vegas Sands Corporation, with 1,000 employees who have tested positive since reopening this summer. Bars in the city still set to open this weekend. In the United Kingdom, their prime minister saying they are bracing for a second coronavirus wave. Cases they're doubling in just 1 week. They say they're hoping to avoid a nationwide lockdown. Zoreen Shah, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Today's 68-degree high snapping a 119-day stretch of reaching that 70-degree mark, but summer isn't over when the temperature will climb again.
If you know a bride-to-be who works on the front lines of the pandemic, a local dress shop wants to hear from you. Coming up, what the shop is offering to help make one bride's special day extra special.
The first cool Friday night of the high school football season, but action on the field heating up for several area teams. Coming up here, we've got to look at a couple of top matchups from Week 5.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
2 now former Central Indiana school administrators say they look forward to having their names and reputations cleared at a full public trial.
The Northwest Hendricks School Board fired Nathan and Stacey Begley this week. The Begleys worked as the athletic director and dean of students at Tri-West High School. They are accused of not reporting allegations of sexual misconduct involving a teacher and a student and are criminally charged with failure to make a report. In a newly released statement, an attorney representing the couple says, quote, "The superintendent, both current and former, decided to scapegoat Mr. and Mrs. Begley, who had been in their administrative positions for less than a year, and one other former administrator, while completely ignoring the fact that several other school officials, as well as 2 law enforcement agencies with the Hendricks County Sheriff's Department, had the same information as the Begleys. Yet only the Begleys and one other administrator have been targeted for discipline, criminal charges, and license suspension." And you can read the Begley's entire response by going to WRTV.com and clicking on this story.
Well, the Begleys have been placed on paid leave twice in the last year. WRTV Investigates has been asking how much taxpayers paid the administrators during that time. Well, today we learned the amount was a combined $81,809 from February to this month, and nearly $30,000 from July to September of last year.
Planning to say I do amid a pandemic is a challenge on its own. Now imagine preparing for a wedding while also juggling the stress of being a frontline worker. An Indianapolis bridal shop hopes to help make saying yes to the dress a little easier during these trying times. Marie Gabriel Couture is a family-owned bridal store. Pronovias has provided the shop with a wedding dress to gift to a Central Indiana frontline worker. They will be able to pick one dress from 5 options. The owners are asking for nominations from the community to help them find a bride in need.
It's just someone who's out there and putting themselves more at risk than others. It can be a kind of a stressful thing selecting their wedding dress, and of course the cost of a wedding dress. It's just a huge weight lifted off your shoulders, especially a bride who is working in healthcare right now has been going through. I'm sure it's just one less thing that you have to worry about, and we're just excited that we can offer that to a lucky bride.
Along with the free Pronovius wedding dress, Murray Gabriel will provide complimentary alterations as well. The bride chosen must be getting married in 2021. You can nominate a healthcare or frontline worker who you believe deserves a free wedding dress. We have all that information on our website at WRTV.com. And Kyle, this weekend's weather would be great for a socially distanced outdoor wedding. It's just perfect out.
Yeah, you know, any brides this weekend, I'm sure, are breathing a sigh of relief because we have a 0% chance of rain in the forecast. Not too often you get to say that. Well, temperatures, that's going to be also very comfortable. We're not going to have any humidity out there either. The temperatures tonight, though, are turning a little chilly. We already have some 40s showing up. 47 for you in Greencastle, 49 Tipton, Muncie, Columbus already at 48 and 49 in Martinsville. And tomorrow morning could have some 30s out there, 37 in the Peru and Kokomo areas. So some patchy frost not out of the question. I don't think it's going to be very widespread. Once we get toward I-70, those temperatures a little closer to the 40-degree mark. But we are going to fill our Saturday forecast with lots of sunshine here once again. Temperatures, though, are going to kind of struggle to warm up very much. We're only around 60 degrees at noon. We'll get into the middle and upper 60s for that afternoon high, and a northeast breeze that will not be as breezy as what we had today, only tomorrow around 5 to 10 miles per hour. With that high right around 70 for you in Bloomington. Most areas, though, will not get out of the 60s. Only 66 degrees for your Saturday in Noblesville, 68 in Danville, and 69 degrees in Columbus. So numbers are running about 10 degrees below average here as we start off the weekend. Good news is, as we go into next week, we'll get closer to average and actually start to see some of that above average warmth climbing back into central Indiana here as temperatures will approach the 80-degree mark. So the second half of the weekend, it's looking very nice here, and it does start that warming trend. If you're heading to the Colts game, more sunshine after that cool start in the 40s. Afternoon highs will actually make their way back into the lower 70s, right around 72 degrees or so. But all this dry weather, it's taken a toll on those lawns for sure. You can see here for the month of September around Indy, Shelbyville, Bloomington, all running about 1 3/4 inches below average for the month of rainfall, already topping 2 inches below average in the Terre Haute area. And it is dry right on through the extended forecast. So let's put it all together now in that 7-day planning forecast for you. We got a couple of mornings here that are going to be in the 40s. In fact, all the way into Monday morning where you might need that jacket in the morning and again in the evening. But we got sunshine. You're not going to need that umbrella at all. As we get into next week, those highs moderating a little bit. Will be around 80 degrees for Wednesday and Thursday. And again, we're going to keep it dry. Looks like right on into next weekend, Mark.
All right, Kyle, thank you. Earlier this summer, many thought high school football will not happen at all this season, but tonight marks the 5th week of the regular season play. A couple of matchups featuring top 10 teams going head-to-head. Brad Brown starts our coverage in Johnson County.
North Central came in 4-0, their best start in 22 years, but they were no match for Center Grove tonight. CG scored twice in the first 5 minutes, would get another before the end of the opening quarter. Connor dealt the quick handoff back the other direction. He would score another later. Trojans up 21-0 with that one. Center Grove's defense looks just as good as its offense. So much pressure on the Panthers. Caden Curry coming up with the QB sack, just relentless from Center Grove's big guys up front. A milestone night for CG senior running back Carson Steele. He became the school's all-time leading rusher, taking his career total up over 4,800 yards tonight, very nearly finishing off an impressive run to the goal line here. But Steele would also find the end zone, not once, twice, but 3 times in the first half. Now 64 career touchdowns, another school record, also setting the mark for points scored, as the Trojans just kept rolling along. Taven Jackson coming up with a pass over the middle. Harrison stomps would be a nice catch, and that would lead to a Center Grove field goal as the points keep piling up. The Trojans' defense continued to be just as dominant. Dane Young coming up with the pass, deflection, and knockdown. A big one toward midfield. Center Grove would come up with a shutout tonight, 47-0 the final, as they improve to 5-0 and continue looking like the best team in Class 6A. Dave Marin continues our coverage now with a matchup between top 3 teams.
Decatur Central defending their home field tonight as the Mooresville Pioneers paid a visit, and it was the Hawks that were flying high to start. Peyton Horsley connects with Javon Tracy for the touchdown and a quick 7-0 lead. But the Pioneers' Brecken Green would lead the march the other way. finding the end zone, but a missed extra point, and Decatur Central still leads 7-6. The Hawks would put another 7 on the board. Horsley with the keeper here, 14-6, but the Pioneers would fight right back. Here they put it in from 3 yards out. And then right before the half, Green scores again, 20-14 Mooresville at the half. In the second half, both teams with penalties and turnovers. No one could find the end zone. The Hawks would have one last chance with just seconds left. Horsley's pass thrown out of the end zone. Mooresville would hold on to win 20-14. Dave Marin, WRTV Sports.
And the Colts will be without tight end Jack Doyle for Sunday's home opener. He missed practice all week, listed with ankle and knee injuries. That will likely move Mo Alley-Cox up in the tight end rotation for the offense. The Colts are a field goal favorite for Week 2 against the Vikings. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
The family of a Central Indiana man plans to host a community parade this weekend to celebrate his return home. 67-year-old Surjit Singh left the hospital today after a 5-month battle with COVID-19. He spent 115 days on a ventilator. The family says they never thought COVID would impact them so deeply.
Well, I think at the beginning, we were one of those families that were like, oh, you know, if we get it, we'll get sick and we'll get over it. But we learned the hard way. My dad, he's definitely, we know he's a very giving person, a very humble person, and he likes to give back. And we know this wasn't the end for him. And we knew he's a fighter. You know, everybody always says his size mistakes you because he's a lion at heart.
Mr. Singh is back home just in time to celebrate his 68th birthday.
Hoosier veterans will have several opportunities to get a free flu shot this fall. Today, the VA clinic near 38th and Eagle Creek Parkway on the west side of Indianapolis offered drive-through flu vaccines. Several more of these events will be held at this location and others in the coming weeks. Organizers say they're making even more of an effort this year to encourage vets to get vaccinated for the flu.
We have a bigger push this year, partly because of COVID-19. Unfortunately, the signs and symptoms of COVID-19 mimic the flu, but it's very important for everybody to get their flu shot to stay healthy and also to decrease the effects that maybe COVID-19 if they have an exposure.
There are VA clinics across central Indiana. Free flu shots will be available for veterans at this location on Shore Drive every Friday through November 20th from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. and noon to 2 p.m. The pandemic did not cancel this annual show of support. The canal turned blue earlier today in honor of the Colts home opener on Sunday. Mascot Blue, team cheerleaders, and Mayor Joe Hogsett did the honors.
Football finally back in town. The bluing of the canal is always a tradition to kick off the home opener for the Colts. And the outcome of last week's game notwithstanding, I am absolutely confident that this team is going to be among the most competitive teams in the league. I think they've got a great future. I think they're going to have a great season. And who knows, we may even be able to enjoy a Super Bowl to relieve us a little bit from our ever-present concern about the pandemic.
I like his optimism. You know, the season is young. Super Bowl could do it. All right, this weekend we got some winning weather for sure. We got a lot of sunshine, temperature 67 degrees Saturday afternoon. Amanda, looks like we'll get back into the 70s on Sunday.
Looks like we might have an open roof for the game on Sunday. We'll
Open
have to
it up.
see. Okay, thanks for joining us. Good night.